Hello everyone, my name is Jessica Kirby and welcome to our webinar series, A Guide to Entrepreneurship. Thank you for joining us in the month of July, where we provide a crash course on how to be an entrepreneur and start a successful business. For more information regarding upcoming events and webinars, join a subscription list or go to our website, shapeyourfuture.us. Without further ado, today we'll be talking to the owners of EL Concepts, Natalie and Jason Johnson. Hi guys, thank you for joining today.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for having us today.
Yes, no problem. So we can jump straight to the questions. The first question is, how does someone start a business? Could you give us a brief overview of the logistics?
Okay, so whenever you're starting any business, the first thing you need is an idea. The idea is going to be either something you're passionate about, something that you've noticed there's a problem, there's a need in your community, in your city, wherever you may be. And yeah, so that I would say is the first thing before you try anything else. The next thing would probably be your research into whether the business you're going to start is viable. So yeah, I mean, that's when you look at maybe certain trends, maybe you look at, has someone else done something similar to what you would like to start? But I would, those are the fundamental business. But you must first be passionate, and you must first be excited to go into anything else, because that's going to be a driving force later on in life. Okay.
Yeah, so as Jason said, that once you've got your idea and you've done your market research, that will tell you whether your idea there's an opportunity for that idea to turn into a successful business. Once that's done, we need to go into doing your business plan. And I think this is a very important step that some business owners jump and just go straight to market. It's very important to have your business plan, number one, for yourself. That's your roadmap. That's where you set your goals, and that keeps you on track. Even if it's a simple one-pager for yourself, I mean, you only need a very detailed business plan if you're seeking funding from the bank or investors. And then it's, your financing. Are you going to be self-funded? Those are the things that will go in there. Do you need startup costs? Are you going to go to an investor or a bank? You need to then decide your location. Are you selling physical products? Are you maybe a service like a hairdresser or nail salon that you'd actually need space, as in brick and mortar? Another important thing to consider is a website, which I think is very important in this day and age, in the information and technology age that we're living in. So those are the important things. And once you've got those things sorted, then you can go into your business name, for example, your logo. We actually had those things up front with ours. We were the other way around. We started with that and then moved to the other things. But those are all those, the little things that sometimes gets overlooked when setting up your business.
Yeah, just building on what Natalie has just said, don't be overwhelmed, because if you go on the internet, if you listen to people who have businesses, they'll give you a long list of things you have to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a lot of what building a business is about is learning, and you will learn a lot about what you need for your particular industry as you go along. So don't stress too much about, you need this full checklist, you need an MBA, you need all these things. No, you will learn as you go along. You meet people, you network with people, and they will also help you to build your business. And that way you also grow quicker.
Yeah. And then just the last few points on that is it's just the little things. And in our experience from setting up our business was those little things that were at the end, which seems simple things, but it's actually can be time consuming, which was registering your business. Registering your business name, it's different. Yes, those little tasks that actually, the little things you think, oh, I'm going to start this business, I'm going to do all these wonderful things, but these little admin tasks that somebody has to do, and when you're starting, it is all on you. those things, making sure that you are registered for taxes if that's necessary for the type of business that you have, and also any licenses or permits that you might have to operate. And last thing is your bank account. Set up your bank account. That was the one. Yes, otherwise you won't get paid. And that was actually the thing that took the longest for us is we were like, well, we're opening and we still don't have a bank account. And I was on the phone with the bank manager. And, you know, so it's those little things that you need to have in place.
Yeah. I think maybe sometimes people just like have this idea and they think like, okay, we can do it tomorrow, and they neglect or overlook the things that actually, the steps that you have to take that are necessary to get you at your starting point, to make sure that you've covered like all possible grounds and nothing is like missing later down the line. You know, like you were speaking, like the bank account, the name, the registration, just like the simple small things. So that will lead us to our next question.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, sorry, no, you guys.
Sorry, Jessica, just on that point, yes. So just as long as you have the basics in place, the other things you'll work at as you go along the way.
Yeah. And I think also like one thing that I've heard a lot is that to find a gap in the market, and like you guys also said, something that you're passionate about, I think those two things can be driving forces for a successful business as well, which will lead us to our next question, which is, are there certain qualities one needs to have to be an entrepreneur?
Yes, absolutely. They are, I think, certain fundamental qualities that you have to have as an entrepreneur. I think that's what differentiates an entrepreneur from if I don't certainly have a better word, from an employee, for example. You are trying to do something different, so you've got to step up and be different and do that. But so again, it comes back to, because everything starts with your passion, that you have to be passionate about what you're doing. And that passion comes, that's what gives you the motivation. And I find that entrepreneurs are highly motivated people. Motivation to, to get up every morning. Are you happy every morning you get to do what you love doing? I think that keeps you motivated. And then the second step that I want to say is then the self-discipline. And self-discipline is probably one of the hardest qualities of an entrepreneur, because it's those things that you do that everybody else is not doing. Getting up early in the morning to get your mind ready for the day, to exercise, whatever that may be. And just to then point it to that sometimes your motivation is lacking, and that's normal. We're all human beings, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. People often think entrepreneurs are just these high energy people go. And yes, but you also have times that your motivation might be lacking, and that's where the self-discipline comes in. That even when you have those moments that you're not that motivated, that maybe something else goes on in your personal life, that because you've set that foundation with your self-discipline, you're able to go even when that motivation is lacking.
Just building on what you're saying, also as an entrepreneur, you have to wear lots of hats. You have to do a lot of things. You have to problem solve nonstop. I think that's one of the fundamental basics of any entrepreneurship. You must be able to problem solve either immediate things that come up, or obviously you're setting goals for medium and long term. So you're problem solving for the future as well. But also, another thing that I find that helps when it comes to motivation is have a routine. Once you get into a routine of doing something every day and just a little bit more, pushing yourself a little bit more, those days when you don't feel like it, it's almost like something automatically clicks in and you're like, you do it. I mean, even if you don't feel like it, you still do it because you have the passion, but you also have that routine to say, it's another day to grow. Even if I do, one extra call, even if I do one extra, in our case, we do a lot of writing. So one extra sentence, one extra paragraph, that's still one bigger step that you've taken today that you didn't take yesterday. So just building every single day, and it doesn't have to be leaps and bounds. People always maybe look at success as huge accomplishments, but it's actually the small things you do every single day, and how you do it is in your routines. That's what I want to add.
Well, I can clearly understand that your mindset really determines the type of day you'll have, especially being an entrepreneur. Well, not myself, but I'm just saying, like, being an entrepreneur, it takes a lot, you know, a lot of motivation, like you guys are saying, self-discipline, and all of that is determined by your mindset, how you choose to wake up and continue throughout the day.
Yeah.
Do you guys also just want to maybe add what your thoughts are on being a creative person and being an entrepreneur? Do you think that is something that goes hand in hand? Does it like differ from the industry that you're in?
Sorry, Jessica, could you just repeat that? You're just breaking up a little bit.
Okay, sure. I was just asking, like, your thoughts on being a creative individual or having a creative mindset. Do you think that's a necessary skill for an entrepreneur, or would it like differ from the type of industry that you find yourself in?
I would say, that, you know, it's what is creativity? We often think creativity means, I must paint beautiful pictures, I design something that's pleasing to the eye. But I think all entrepreneurs are creative, and it comes back to, I think actually all individuals are creative. I think we all creative beings, whether we choose to be an entrepreneur or not. I think we are all creative. But yes, creativity is a big part, and it may not be in the sense of maybe creating something specifically in art or something which we most would, or design, which we most tend to think. It's back to what Jason said about problem solving. Things go wrong in business all the time. Things go the way you didn't think it's going to go. So what do you need to do? You need to problem solve. And how do you do that? It's by being creative, thinking of different ways of, you know, approaching the same or tackling the same problem. You know?
Yes. I mean, you're always going to be problem solving. And in order to problem solve, you have to think creatively.
Yeah.
If it's done this way and it doesn't work, are you going to give up? The answer is no. You have to figure out a different way. And that's part of creativity. And I agree with what Natalie said as well, is that I don't think creativity is only entrepreneurs. Anyone is creative. As a human being, you are born creative. If you watch, I mean, we have 2 little daughters, and if you watch children play, they'll pick up a stick and turn it into, you know, a hat, or turn it into something like they're sort of being a doctor, whatever the case may be. That is a form of creativity that's built into children, and at some point we're all children. So that's why I say that we all born creative. It's just at some point we just maybe told that we're not creative, and then we stop being, and we start kind of trying to fit into a mold. And maybe the other extreme is people just say, no, I'm creative in whatever I do, and they excel. And then you have your painters and your music artists and whatever the case may be. But fundamentally, we are all creative. And especially if you're going into business, you have to be thinking creatively all the time, how to expand, how to grow, how to network.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is, what was your key driving force to become an entrepreneur instead of following the mainstream corporate world?
Okay, so just a bit of background. I worked in government for close to 15 years as a therapist. And so I kind of did the government/corporate avenue first before deciding to go on this journey. The tipping point was last year when we were in uncertain times with COVID. And I mean, if you work for government or in a hospital, you're your frontline worker.
Yeah.
And so even through level 5 and the extreme lockdowns, I still had to go to work. And it was a very stressful time. It was a stressful time at the hospital, stressful time for our family and so on, because I was the only one going out.
Yeah.
And then it was a week after my birthday. And then I just had this moment where I watched something that it was a YouTube clip about evaluating, like, what's your true value to your employer. And when I worked out the number, that was my aha moment to be, well, I'm not really happy with what I'm seeing, because I'm putting my life on the line, my family's life on the line, our financial well-being, everything it's high risk all the time. And when I saw that my value to the company was not what I thought it actually was, that's when I started kicking into gear to be like, no, I would like a different future for my family. And that's kind of the starting point. I started sitting down, and within a week, I thought of a business. I was like nonstop. I was determined this is what I was going to do. And obviously building from there and trying to sell the idea to Natalie as well, because it's one thing to say you want to start a business, but you have to still go to your partner and say, look, I'm going to walk away from everything I know to do something I have no idea how to do. And you can imagine how difficult that conversation was.
And scary.
Exactly. But she believed in my vision. And I knew that once we started building the business and started getting the pieces together, that, I mean, everything will just make sense. And yeah, I mean, that's just the beginning part. I mean, Natalie can add maybe her process.
So obviously that was a shock for me because I honestly didn't expect, it's not something we've spoken about before. I for sure knew since I had my children that, you know, I wanted something different in my life. I wasn't having enough time with my children. That was the starting point for me, and that would have been 2 years prior to us actually starting our business. But also at that point, not yet knowing what I wanted to do and having lots of ideas and am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? After Jason coming around and you know, telling me his ideas, I started thinking again, what am I going to do? I also want something else for myself. I'm not just going to continue this way. You know, it's just working. You feel was working for 15 years in finance and operations. And I think at that, and I enjoyed my job, but at that point, I think I reached my peak. I think I reached my limit, that I wanted to do more. I felt I wasn't being creative enough, and I felt I had more to offer. Then I was thinking ideas for myself, and then something hit me. It's actually, let me come back and say that we then said to ourselves, what type of lifestyle do we want to live? And that's where we started, and we wrote down our goals, and we've got a 10-year plan, and we've got our goals. So we did set on our goals. And we decided to build this business around our lifestyle. So that was the one important thing. But then I said to Jason, when I was still figuring out what I wanted to do, why don't we, because he was further ahead in his plans. At that point, it was just him going to do the business. I said, why don't we join forces together? You've got certain skills and I've got certain skills that I can bring to the table. And I think if we join forces, we'll attain our goals much quicker if we do it together than if we do it separately. So the driving force was definitely wanting more time with my family, wanting flexibility, and, you know, building our dream and putting our dreams and our lifestyle before our work, because it was the other way before. Everything else had to slot into our work.
So let me just jump in there quickly, Natalie. So basically, when we talk about our lifestyle, you know, when, for instance, you go to university, you study something, once you have a qualification, then what happens? You go out and you look for a job, right? And then you have to fit into the mold of the company that you're going to be employed at, right? So we, for many, many years, and then we realized, well, why don't we build a business around our lifestyle? So what does our lifestyle look like? We want to be able to be flexible, spend more time with the goals, but also have to, like, obviously work. Then we wanted to be able to work anywhere in the world, right? Then we wanted to work with whoever we wanted and also earn whatever we wanted to earn. So all those type of mechanisms were built into the business. You see, that was something that we didn't have before. We thought, no, that's all part of taking control of your life. Because once you know exactly what you want, right? I mean, then universe, God, everything conspires to make it happen. And yes, so that's the journey we started on. We decided to build a business around the life we wanted for our family. And yeah, that's where we are now.
I think one thing that's clear is that a lot of it starts with self-reflection, knowing what you want for your future out of your life. And like you guys said, what is your plan to make that happen? If you are so determined, coming up with a plan and knowing what you want to achieve your goals is really important. So yeah. And then on another note, what tips and advice can you give people wanting to start their own business?
Sorry, Jesse, broke up again. Could you just repeat that?
Sorry, I was asking what tips or advice can you give to people wanting to start their own business?
I would say if you've got that dream and that passion, go for it. If you've done your market research, go for it. It's not easy, it's going to be tough, but don't let other influences, other voices of other people deter you from that. You've got to be very determined. That's the first thing. Another thing that I can speak about is work on your mindset. That was a very, very important factor, talking from myself. Jason and myself, when we came up with the idea for the business, before we registered a business, any of those things, we spent about 6 months before any of those things working on our mindset, because I fully believe that if your mind isn't right, it's going to be easy to give up when things get hard. So every day we still do certain exercises, certain things, and it's different for everybody what's going to work for you. But I found that I've got to work on it every single day. But even before knowing anything of starting a business, we worked on our mindset first. Yeah, because that's why so many businesses do fail. Sometimes you think it's, is it the product? Is it, the service? Is it whatever? No, it's the mindset.
Yeah.
It's your mindset.
I mean, that could also be one of my biggest tips is you need to know within yourself that whatever you're deciding to build, it's your dream, it's your vision. No one else, or I shouldn't say no one else, but you can't expect other people to see the vision that you have in your mind, right? So you must just go for it, even when people don't believe in what you're saying. You will get lots of negativity from friends, from family, but you must know what you're building is what you see. It's greater than just what other people are saying can and can't work. I can maybe summarize what Natalie has just said is a quote that I always remember. I know Tony Robbins says it a lot, but if you work on your career or your business, you'll earn a living. If you work on yourself, you earn a fortune. And I think that's part of our process is that, yes, building a business is one aspect, but you need to work on yourself because it's going to get tough. It's going to get lonely. You have to work when you don't want. You have to maybe do certain things that you find it's tedious. You have to, it's repetitive. You're not getting anywhere. Sometimes you bring a product to market that you're completely passionate about and you enjoy it and you worked on it for months and then it completely doesn't work. Are you going to just give up? Or going back to our points earlier to say, well, it didn't work. Well, why didn't it work? Can we make it work? Or maybe we must abandon it and try something else. But that's all part of the process. But as long as you keep referring back to your vision, that you can see clearly where you're going, and that's all that matters. You need to know exactly where you're going within yourself before you can try and convince anyone else where you're going.
And then can I add another point? Just another point is never stop learning.
Yes.
Never, every day. grow and learn. And I don't mean by let's do another degree or whatever. It's
Yeah.
simple things like learn from inspirational people, learn from people in the same industry as you, from successful entrepreneurs and business owners. We listen to audio books just because it saves time, because it's busy running a business, having two little ones around. So while we're busy doing chores or something, we'll be listening to audio books.
I'll be
And
Yeah.
so yes, never stop learning. You'll never know everything, and
Yeah.
there's always something to learn.
Yeah.
I just want to build also on what Natalie is saying, is that, I mean, we both have various qualifications, degrees and so on, that we've studied in the past. None of it has helped us to build this business. None of it. And that's also one of the things I would say as a tip. What we've learned and how we've built this business is literally what we have seen on YouTube, what we have, the courses we have done, I would say less than a year. And I mean, education is, or knowledge is power. If it's the right knowledge, you're learning. So that's also another tip I want to say. It's fine to learn things, but if it's not going to move you in the direction of your vision and your goal, well, is it really useful? Is it really education? You know what I mean? So I think that's also one of the lessons I learned, is learning is fine, but you have to learn the right thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And then implement what you learn.
And there's no one way to learn as well, but it just comes back to constant education, whether it's in your industry or it's working on yourself.
I think it's clear that it definitely takes a strong individual and a strong mind, and to have the willpower to, just be determined in what you want to do, never be afraid to learn, never think that you know everything when you really don't. Like, there's so much out there that we can all learn from and improve ourselves with. And then the last question will be, what challenges did you have to overcome on the journey of being an entrepreneur?
We need another hour. Look, I mean, whenever I think of that question, it's twofold, right? It's the challenges you have to overcome within yourself, and there's the challenges of the business.
Yeah.
So I can start myself. Personally, you have to overcome the fear of what will other people think of you. Jason was a therapist for 15 years. Why is he doing this? Why is he building a company about copywriting? It makes no sense. You have to believe that what you're doing is the right thing, right? You have to believe, even when things get tough, when things don't go your way, when you want to sleep a bit later in the morning. Nope, that extra hour is going to get you, a lot of work done, or is going to make you that extra call or that extra, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's those types of overcoming your self-doubt. That's the personal side. The business side would be things like your clients don't pay you. You have to work for free for months. Do you just give up? Do you say, oh, this is not for me? Though I think those are just like a few challenges where that doesn't go away. And it's about keep going, having your routine in place, keep building on, keep perfecting your craft, whatever it might be. And yeah, eventually you will see results.
Yeah.
I mean, we've experienced that lots of times, where we thought, why are we doing this? We keep at it. No one wants to no one believes in our product. No one believes in our business. And then someone comes along and completely obsessed with the work we do. And they, and they want to pay money and they want to do. So don't believe that there's only that one person that can get you to your dreams. There's 8 billion people in the world. Yeah. Someone's going to want your product. Someone's going to help you get where you want to be. Someone's going to be part of your networking team, your mentors, whatever the case. So never give up.
I think my challenges that I had to overcome were mostly, it might sound weird, but myself. And it's similar to what Jason said. It's for me, it's that imposter syndrome, you know, that sometimes you face, you think, oh, but there's so many other copywriters out there. Why would somebody want to work with me over anyone else? And slowly but surely I had to learn, like Jason says, there's about 7 billion people on this planet. You can't service every single one of them. But maybe even if it's only 10 of them, you know, you've got some clients. And just being happy to be yourself, and I mean being authentic. And when you are saying this authentically yourself, people see that, and and your client will be drawn to that and will want to work with you. And so that's something I've had to overcome. And the other thing is the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur, you need to very quickly step out of that comfort zone. If you want to stay there, it's like that saying, like, a comfort zone is a wonderful place, but nothing ever grows there.
Yeah.
So you've got to do the things. There's so many things that we've had to do in this business, me specifically putting myself out there. It's so uncomfortable for me to do, but it gets better every time I do it. And that's how you grow. And I've said this to Jason, something feels to me like, oh, must I do it? Oh, I feel nervous. Then I know I must do it, because then I know I'm going to grow.
Yeah.
We must do it. Yeah. Just a practical tip also in terms of, you know, when working on your self-confidence, I would say definitely that's part of the self-work, but specifically self-confidence, because there can be lots of times when you doubt your choices. There's going to be lots of times where you make a mistake, and like, yeah. So just practical things, which goes back to what we said earlier about just every day do a little bit more. So if you, for instance, if you're a runner, you know, instead of running like maybe a block, then run 2 blocks or an extra mile, whatever the case. Just those little incremental things builds up your self-confidence and builds up. I mean, yeah, it's just those small things that I find is, like I said, it's writing that extra line, writing that extra paragraph to say, you know, keep going. And it definitely helps to have the right partner as well. I was fortunate that I'm married to my partner, but in terms of, you know, surround yourself with people that's going in your direction, not people that you have to drag and lift up all the time, but people that can see and work with you towards your goal, because that's going to make the lonely times and the quiet times, and when you want to give up, then, you know, someone to say, no man, let's go, let's do that extra call, let's do that extra work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Well, that brings us to the end of our questions. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join this webinar. You can just let people know where we can find you, website, social media, plug it.
Okay, so thank you again, Jessica, for having us today. It was a really lovely opportunity for us. Our website is www.el-concepts.com, and our social media handles are at elconcepts.copywriting. That's on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Yeah, you can find all our details also on the website Matthew has just given. So you can put out content quite regularly, especially blogs, social media posts, and so on. So yeah, go follow us. We do understand that it's not always possible to maybe, you know, book a copywriter or book a copywriting service, but like I said, we're constantly putting out value and content for free, where you can use it. You can build your business now while you're studying. Easy, small tips. It's 3 to 5 minute reads. You know, we know our attention spans are not the longest. So, you know, quality, not quantity. And you will see that also about things, just short, bite-sized things, to the point, implement, get the results, go, next thing.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. It was lovely talking to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.